Conservatives across the country are right now dancing in the streets because, folks, yesterday evening, right before the lawsuit against Rudy Giuliani hit, Special Prosecutor John Durham finally released that Durham report almost 4 years to the day after he was appointed by William Barr to, quote, investigate the investigators that conducted the Mueller investigation. And while conservatives are out there celebrating, claiming that this Durham report shows that, oh my God, they did everything wrong investigating Trump, I would advise them to actually read it, because the report does not say that at all. The report does not recommend criminal charges against a single individual. So far, Durham, with the 2 trials that have happened with people he attempted to charge, resulted in acquittals, so he hasn't sent anybody to jail throughout 4 years of investigations at a cost of $6.5 million to the U.S. taxpayers. But his final report is basically that of a child being annoyed that things didn't happen at the FBI the way he thinks they should have happened. Specifically, he spends most of this 300-page report talking about the fact that the FBI should have known better than to use that flimsy Steele dossier as an excuse to launch an investigation. He said the claims were not credible, and they should have known that. Okay, but here's the thing. They had no way to know that the claims were not credible unless they investigated them, which of course would be why they didn't charge people based on that Steele dossier. They were handed information that at the time appeared to be at least somewhat credible enough to look into it. And once they started looking, they found some things that didn't quite smell right. Maybe not necessarily with the Steele dossier, but people did go to jail. So they found something. They found a hell of a lot more than Durham did. So you can't just look at a piece of evidence and say, nah, that seems stupid to me. They looked into it, they found leads, and that's why they conducted the investigation. Just because you didn't like what was in the Steele dossier, just because not all the Steele dossier could be verified, doesn't mean that it didn't put them on the right track to get some criminals, which is exactly what happened. So you can be pissed about it, Durham, all you want. That doesn't mean that it didn't bear fruit, because it did. Another thing he says is that it's wholly unfair that the DOJ didn't consult with Trump and his campaign before they launched the investigation, because they totally did that with Hillary Clinton. Yeah, they did. But see, here's the other piece of that. And you left this out of your report, and that's the part that conservatives are jumping on like, aha, we got him. You remember what the DOJ did? Like right before the 2016 election? They came out in a press conference and said, we're reopening the investigation into Hillary Clinton. Weeks before the election, and after that announcement by Comey himself, Hillary Clinton's poll numbers finally started tanking. Now, they didn't come out before the election and announce that they were investigating Donald Trump for expected ties to a foreign adversary, even though they were investigating that at the time. They only did it to Hillary Clinton. And by the way, they weren't even investigating Hillary Clinton. They didn't open the investigation into her again. They had to come back out and clarify that later. But the damage was done, and that damage was done intentionally. But I guess Durham forgot to include that in his report. Out of this 300-page report that, again, took four years to complete here, Durham makes one single recommendation. That single recommendation is that the DOJ needs to create a new position, a staff position, for a lawyer that will kind of have oversight over any political investigations going forward. That's it. 4 years, $6.5 million to say, hey, maybe you ought to have somebody do an oversight. That's the recommendation. That's what conservatives are cheering about, because none of those idiots out there decided to read the report. I did. It wasn't pleasant. It wasn't fun, but it was stupid as hell. And conservatives might want to cancel the parades so that they have time to actually read it and realize that it doesn't say anything that any of them are claiming that it says. This is Hattie. Hattie wants to know why you have not subscribed to our channel. You obviously like our videos,
So do us a favor and subscribe.